Hi children, welcome to the next topic, that is chapter number 12, Reproduction in Plants. This year we will study about the reproduction in plants, and in the 8th class we will be studying the reproduction in animals. What is reproduction? Reproduction, that is producing again. Reproduction is the process of producing new individuals or the offsprings of the same kind by the parents. The production of new individual of the same kind by the parents is known as reproduction. See, reproduction is having its own significance. What is the significance or importance of reproduction? Reproduction is very essential for maintaining a particular species on Earth generation after generation. If there is no process of reproduction in the universe, the species will not be available on Earth. Therefore, we have to understand the fact that reproduction is very essential for the maintenance or the continuation of species on Earth generation after generation. We can classify the reproduction into two categories. There are two major types of reproduction. One is the asexual reproduction and another one is the sexual reproduction. Which are the two basic types of reproduction? Yes, come on. Asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Now let us see about asexual reproduction first. Asexual. Here the sex is absent. Here participation of the sex. Sex indicates the gender, the male or the female. Here there is no importance for the sex of the organism. Here a new individual or an offspring is produced by the involvement of a single parent, that may be male or it may be the female. So when a new individual is formed from a single parent, such reproduction is known as asexual reproduction. In asexual reproduction, there will be involvement of only a single parent. There will be only one partner is involved. Because of the same reason, the offspring or the new individuals or the young ones produced by asexual reproduction are exactly similar to their parents. They are genetically similar to their parents. Now let us look at sexual reproduction. Sex. Here comes the gender, the male and female. When the new individuals are produced by the involvement of two parents, two sexes, such as male and female, then that reproduction is called sexual reproduction. In sexual reproduction, there is an involvement of gametes. What do you mean by gametes? Gametes are nothing but the sex cells. The male produces the male gamete and the female produces the female gamete. In sexual reproduction, there will be fusion of male and female gamete. The male gamete, the sperm, and the female gamete, the ovum or egg, get fused to produce zygote. And the zygote develops into the new offspring or the new individual. So here we can say that there is involvement of two parents, that is the male parent and the female parent. Male parent produce the male gamete, the sperm, and the female parent produce the female gamete, the ovum. And here fusion takes place, and that leads to the development of a new offspring. Since there is fusion of male and female gamete, the new offspring, the individual produced, is not genetically similar to their parents. They are genetically different from the parent. Not completely, but still there are certain variation in the offspring or the new individual produced in sexual reproduction. So these are the two major types of reproduction. Now let us discuss about the reproduction in plants. In plants also there is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. In this part we are going to discuss thoroughly about asexual reproduction in plants. In plants there are different modes of asexual reproduction. For you, in this year we will be discussing about the asexual reproduction such as vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation and spore formation. Which are the four major asexual reproduction in plants? Vegetative propagation, yes, come on, budding, then fragmentation and spore formation. Let us see one by one. First one is vegetative propagation. If you want to know about vegetative propagation, you must know the vegetative parts of a plant. See, the parts of the plant such as root, stem and leaves. Root, stem and leaves are called the vegetative parts, whereas flowers, fruits and seeds are the reproductive parts. Which are the vegetative parts? Leaves, stem and root are the vegetative parts. Why they are called vegetative parts? Because these parts help for the vegetative function. Say for example, leaves help for the vegetative function of photosynthesis, stem help for conduction and root help for absorption of water and minerals. So these are the vegetative functions. But sometimes the vegetative parts help for producing the new parts, the new plants. So when a new plant is developed from the vegetative parts such as root, stem or leaves, then such a reproduction is known as vegetative propagation. Okay, see here. This is the potato. Potato is actually an underground stem. Don't confuse it as a root. See, it's a stem. You know that the leaves develop only from the stem. See here, the leaves is developing from this part. Therefore, it is a stem. Okay, even see the roots are developing from, the adventitious roots are developing from this. Therefore, it is definitely a stem. See, on the potato, you can see some mark like this, the marks. See the marks? This mark or scars which are seen on the potato stem are called the eyes. From the eyes, the new buds develop. And if you cut this stem, when you cut the stem and plant it, you will get new potato plant. Therefore, the potato plant is producing the new plant from the stem cuttings. Similarly, you know rose. How will you propagate the rose? You will cut a stem of the rose and you will plant. It will give rise to new rose plants. Therefore, stem is used for developing a new plant. Even in hibiscus, show flower. The shoe flower also we will use to cut the stem and develop the new plant. So here stem is give rise to a new plant. Therefore stem is a vegetative part. Therefore stem cutting that give rise to a new plant is an example for vegetative propagation. See some plants, say for example the plant which is appear on your screen is bryophyllum. See bryophyllum, the new plants develops from the leaves. See, from the margin of the leaf, new buds are developed. And if you plant a leaf, that gives the entire plant. That produces the entire plant. Therefore, bryophyllum, the leaves is giving you the new plant. The actual vegetative function of leaf is photosynthesis. But here, the leaf giving rise to a new plant, that means it is sometime doing the function of reproduction. So when a new plant is developed from the leaf, then it is vegetative propagation, and here a bryophyllum give a new plant from its leaves. Therefore, it is a vegetative propagation. And the next one, see, root. The roots of some of the plants like carrot, beetroot give rise to new plant. So root also can propagate vegetatively and give rise to new plant. So this is vegetative propagation. Okay, in vegetative propagation, the new plants are produced either from stem or from leaves or from roots. Now let us discuss about the next asexual method of reproduction, that is budding. See, in the picture you can see a fungus, a unicellular fungus, that is yeast cell. Yeast is a unicellular fungus that reproduces by budding. Budding is an asexual method. See, this is the yeast. From the body of the yeast, a small outgrowth develops. That outgrowth is known as the bud. The bud receives a portion of the nucleus from the mother. Sometimes a chain of buds are developed. Okay. And these buds are found to attach with the mother. When the buds completely mature, this bud get detached from the mother's body, and they will be the new individuals of yeast. So from here we can understand the new yeast cells are produced from a single cell, a single parent. This is called budding, and budding, since budding produce the new individual from a single parent, budding is a type of asexual reproduction. Next type of asexual reproduction is fragmentation. See, the picture is an algae. This algae is called Spirogyra. The Spirogyra got its name so because it has got spiral shaped chloroplast. Because of the spiral shaped chloroplast, the Spirogyra got its name so. See, in fragmentation, when the Spirogyra completely mature, it breaks its filament into small pieces like this. Many pieces are produced. Each pieces are known as fragments. Fragment means pieces. So the Spirogyra break into many smaller pieces called fragments, and each fragment develops into a new offspring of Spirogyra. Therefore, here the new Spirogyra is developing from a single parent. Therefore, fragmentation is also comes under asexual reproduction. Okay. And the next one is spore formation. Spore formation usually found in some of the fungus. See, here you can see a fungus. This fungus is known as the bread mold. Okay, you might have seen the fungus which is growing on bread, the spoiled bread. If you take such a fungus and if you observe under microscope, you can see the fungus like this. See the fungus, this round structure of the fungus, which is known as the sporangium. Inside the sporangium, there are microscopic reproducing bodies which are called the spores. Spores are the reproducing structures produced by fungus and certain plants known as ferns. See, these are ferns. Ferns are a group of plants comes under a class known as pteridophytes. Okay, you might have seen that pteridophytes are the fern leaves, backside of the leaves. If you touch on your hand, you can see a mark. The mark which is pasted on your body because of the spores. The spores which are group of spores which are seen on ferns is known as sori. Okay, the group of spores which are present on the fern leaves are called sori. group of spores. So spores are the asexually reproducing structures produced by certain fungus and ferns. See, when the fungus is completely grown, the sporangium will break and the spores will be carried away by the wind. When the spores fall on a suitable place, it will develop into new fungus. If the place is not suitable, or the spores are fall on a place where the climate is unfavorable, the spores are covered by a structure that is called cyst. Okay, cyst. So cyst is a covering which is actually a tough covering which is developed on the spores during unfavorable condition. When the condition return to favorable type, then the cyst will get open and the spores develop into a new fungus or a new fern. Okay, so this is spore formation. So we discussed about 4 different types of asexual reproduction in this class, which are the vegetative propagation, budding, fragmentation, and spore formation. Vegetative propagation means development of new offspring from the vegetative parts of a plant such as leaves, stem and roots. Budding, example we studied was yeast. Okay, in yeast a new outgrowth develops and that receives a part of the nucleus, and when it completely mature, it detaches from the mother body and it acts as a new offspring. And in case of fragmentation, we studied the example Spirogyra. In Spirogyra, it's an algae, the body broken into many smaller pieces. These pieces are called fragments. Each fragment develops into a new algae. This is called fragmentation. So here also the new offspring is developed from a single parent. Therefore, it is an example for asexual reproduction. And lastly, we studied or discussed about spore formation. Spore formation takes place in bread mold. Bread mold is a fungus that grows on bread, which is also scientifically called rhizopus. And another example for spore formation is ferns. The ferns comes under a group of plants known as pteridophytes. Okay, the spores are asexually reproducing bodies which are grown in fungus and pteridophytes or ferns, and which will be carried away by the wind, and when it fall on the suitable place, it will grow into the new fungus or ferns. So these are the 4 different types of asexual reproduction. Hope you understood. Okay, see you.